there's all these people with all these hashtags on this trend. Is there a product based on that we can hit and take to market, right? And then what should it look like, right? What people want to see with that product. So then that's where I started implementing, okay, I'm done looking at Amazon for product opportunity because literally it's just crowded and saturated. I'm looking at social media for product opportunity and then taking it to Amazon because it doesn't exist there yet.
Welcome to the Ecom Breakthrough Podcast. Are you ready to unlock the full potential and growth in your business? You've already crossed 7 figures in sales, but the challenge is knowing how to take your business to the next level. Join Josh Hadley, an 8-figure ecom business owner and investor, as he interviews highly successful business owners. Get ready, because you're going to learn specific actions you can take today to help your business reach its full potential and leave a lasting impact on the world.
Welcome to the Ecom Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Hadley, where I interview the top business leaders in e-commerce. Past guests include Kevin King, Aaron Cordovez, and Michael E. Gerber, author of The E-Myth. Today, I'm speaking with Michael Estey, and he's going to be talking about how he finds trending products on TikTok, how he then is able to modify them using surveys and AI intelligence tools to be able to make them your own in your own brand, and how he's just seeing explosive success with those. This episode is brought to you by Ecom Breakthrough, where I specialize in investing in and scaling 7-figure e-commerce brands to 8 figures and beyond. If you're an ambitious e-commerce entrepreneur looking for a partner who can help take your business to the next level, my team and I bring hands-on experience, strategic insights, and the resources needed to fuel your growth. So if you or someone you know is ready to scale or looking for an investment partner, reach out to me directly at josh@ecombreakthrough.com. That's ecom with 2 M's, and let's turn your dreams into reality. But today I am super excited to introduce you all to Michael Estey. Mike is an owner and founder of Bullseye Sellers. He's also the founder of Impressions Check. It is a new market intelligence software tool. And also he owns 5 new Amazon brands all within the last year. So this dude is busy and he's been around the block. He's been in the e-com space for over 12 years, which is decades and decades, if you really think about it, in the Amazon world. He started off selling products at trade shows and eventually transitioned into selling on Amazon. In his first 2 months, he was able to grow to $30,000 per month in sales. Within the first year, he made $80,000 per month. And in his second year, crossed that 6-figure per month mark. And he kept doubling it every year after that. So with that introduction, welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you very much for having me. Fun to be here.
Mike, I know we were introduced to each other at AMZ Innovate, and within the first 5 seconds of meeting you, and you were already sharing all the cool stuff you were working on, TikTok stuff, your agency stuff, and I was like, this dude's brilliant. This dude's wicked smart. You've been around the block quite a bit in the e-com space. Why don't you just peel back the curtain real quick, give people a quick background summary of why people should be listening to you today, because you're going to be sharing some wicked smart tactics that honestly not many people are talking about right now, but should be.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very good way of putting it. So to peel back the curtain, as you say, I think a lot of what I've done and how I do it is, I guess, a more sophisticated way of saying common sense, right? So, and I think that's the brilliance of any of the guys that I follow that are just extremely genius. They implement common sense and they take common sense to the next level. Of course you do it that way. That's the way that everybody should be doing it. But you don't think about it until you see someone else doing it, right? Or it's just, never occurred to you. So a lot of what I have been working on, I started very early on in e-commerce, when Amazon was huge in 2013, and it was just growing so fast. There were so many holes, so many empty spaces on Amazon. And I think a lot of my journey has been, in the beginning, I guess 2013, 14, there were so many holes everywhere. It doesn't matter what you launch. I would sell 200 units a day by launching, the most basic products ever. It was so much fun. Whatever I threw out there would sell. It was great. It was empty shelf space, basically, with millions of shoppers. And then the game changed a little bit. So you just had to get smarter and you had to implement more common sense, not just like, throw picks at the gold rush or picks and axes at the gold rush because there was so much gold. It was getting harder and harder to harvest that gold over the years. So like in 2000, 17, 18, 19, you started getting to get more clever. So in a lot of the products I was launching, I had to get a little bit of a deeper dive. Even though the existing products I had, they weren't just the competitors were coming on by like daily, right? The shelf space was getting so much more full so frequently. So then I had to figure out, okay, one, how to go deeper into this market. So then, of course, naturally going out of my comfort zone outside of Amazon and learning external marketing tactics with Google and Facebook ads and ClickFunnels pages and all that fun stuff, right? So learning a little bit about that field, eventually kind of mastering it. And then anywhere from learning about basic surveys, like I would launch products and they would die. They were just terrible. They looked like crap. Like they were not trendy. They were just generic designs that I put together. Looked like something designed on Fiverr. And I had to go through that to learn that wasn't do it, and eventually learning, okay, what does the market actually want? What are people looking for? How do we know? How do we tell? How do we survey? And so, a lot of companies came out like PickFu, which I used early on, and Televi, and then trying to figure out how to navigate that and try to perfect my design, right? So, and then eventually, I think what ended up happening was in 2020 when COVID hit, it was amazing. Like, I mean, COVID sucked, but the sales on Amazon were just 50x. Like, it was just an insane amount. So many sales I couldn't keep up. And also, I launched some products sort of, and I guess an easy way of saying this is based on social media. This is COVID was where I really shined in my social media strategies. Picking products, like people, a great example is people are home making their own hand sanitizer. You can see that all over social media. So it's just like just selling the raw materials to make your hand sanitizer, right? But without making hand sanitizer. Of course, it went completely viral. It was picked up by major magazines like US Weekly on their front page, on their homepage. My products were, right? So, and cool experiences like that. And then that really taught me, wait a minute, let's dig deeper into trends. Like what's trending right now? What's happening in the market and how do we capitalize on that? So then, in like a great example is I launched this product based on a very viral TikTok product, and they were the only guy doing it. So of course, competition wouldn't even come near these guys. And I was like, okay. So I just made a knockoff, like a dupe. I just literally made a dupe, threw it on Amazon. Mine went more viral than theirs because it was more natural than theirs. It was a beauty product, well, more natural. And then, of course, literally it was selling. I got my first day that it went viral and sold 17,000 units in one day.
Oh my goodness.
So it was insane, right? So then I was like, okay, there's definitely some tactic here to repeat. And I've been trying to figure out how to do that, right? And then over time, learning, okay, well, let's go on TikTok and let's find opportunity there. There's all these people with all these hashtags on this trend. Is there a product based on that we can hit and take to market, right? And then what should it look like, right? What people want to see with that product. So then that's where I started implementing, okay, I'm done looking at Amazon for product opportunity because literally it's just crowded and saturated. I'm looking at social media for product opportunity and then taking it to Amazon because it doesn't exist there yet, right? So that's a bit of like how I had to constantly evolve. You have to constantly evolve. You can't just sit on one strategy for 10 years and hope you'll stay afloat. Otherwise, you'll end up like Blockbuster,
So true. Mike, that's what I love about your stories. You've constantly been pivoting. You've constantly been trying to stay ahead of the game. Where's the puck moving in the e-commerce space? And I think you're the first one really championing this idea where you said it best. I'm no longer looking at Amazon for my product opportunities or my new product ideas. I'm actually looking out into the social media world, what's trending, what's going viral. That's where I'm coming up with the ideas of new products that I'm going to bring to market. So, Mike, why don't you elaborate further? Why don't you walk our guests through how have you pivoted away from looking for new products to sell just on the Amazon marketplace, but How do you find trending products on social media that you then will take to Amazon?
That's the $1 million question right there. That's my. I'll share with you a couple of things that I've done and how I've done it. So, one, first and foremost, I never used TikTok prior to a certain point. My wife used it and she was into it and she would show me the TikTok videos. And I was like, I'm never going to do the TikTok thing. And even though I worked and did business on TikTok and ads and this and that, and I was like, I can't get addicted to it. And then she was like, I'm telling you, there's a lot of gold in there, a lot of good tips, a lot of life hacks and products. And so eventually, of course, I gave in. And then I start scrolling. So I'm just like, okay. And it starts knowing me a little bit better. And then, of course, it starts just gonna feed me some products, right? So eventually, there's some ads, and I start engaging with the ads. And like the ads are actually inspirational for me. I'm like, that's a good idea for an ad. That's a good idea. So I started using a lot of that for uh, my business. Like, okay, that's a good idea. Make ads based on TikTok. And then eventually, I started doing just searches and I was like, okay, let's see what's trending right now. And then of course I see these products that are like, this got 2 million views, 5 million views in this product. It's got like 100,000 comments. It's a product. What's going on here? Like I started digging into it a little deeper. And then of course, what do I do as an Amazon seller? I go to Amazon, see how they're doing on Amazon. Of course, 30,000 units a month, and I'm like, and no competition. I'm like, but it's a brand. They're searching for the brand. It's a branded search. I'm like, I can easily rank for their branded search. So what if I just take 5% of the market share? It's like 5,000 units a month or 3,000 units a month. So, and then it started clicking. I was like, oh my God, what have I discovered here? Why is no one talking about this? Right. So of course, what do? I launched the product and lo and behold, literally it goes viral, right? It's a dupe. It's just a dupe. So that was my first, and this was back in like 2021 and learning and social media, TikTok and all that stuff. So, and of course, TikTok Shop doesn't exist back then. So I'm literally just copying the trend, right, and making dupes. And 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 I kind of like, okay, so I go through this and I'm trying to repeat it, and now I actually messed up. I didn't continue doing that successful action, and I literally pivoted and I went to try to launch more products on Amazon, not based on TikTok, based on my old strategy, based on what other people said I should do. And I kind of lost touch. And then um, I got out of it, got back to the core of like, okay, what was this product that is so successful? And then started repeating the process again, based on trends. And it literally one for one, when I saw these things, I saw these trends, any product that I saw, whether it was me or, I suppose I work with a client, a recommended product, or a client launched a product, or any time it happened, it was one for one, the product has success. And I was just like, look, just dupe it. Just dupe the product. Make your own branding of it, but just dupe it. You'll get 5 to 10% of the market share within the first week. It's so easy to do. And I think it literally just happened over and over and over again. I was like, okay, this is obviously a proven concept. Do I want to tell everybody about this? No. But it's so obvious. Of course, that's the way that you do it, because now we know that trying to find a product opportunity on Amazon is old school nowadays. There's nothing, it's all filled up. But now people, sellers, you can tell sellers are definitely jumping on the TikTok bandwagon and launching products based on TikTok trends. And now it's becoming like you have to go fast to the market. The thing about TikTok is you can't search. I can't go and show me a product opportunity, doesn't exist. So what I do, and this is now my successful action, is I spend 2 hours every day on TikTok. I literally make the algorithm feed me products. Oh, I've seen more ads probably. I think every other TikTok video is an ad. It knows I engage with all the ads, right? So it's a product, it's an ad. Now, there's no one more facet of this. Sometimes you see a trend without a product associated to it. This is one that I caught a little bit ago, and I basically I tried super hard to jump on this trend. I just, it required a lot of funding, and it's funding I got investors for a lot of other stuff, but I could not get an investor for this one. And this is, I'm sure a lot of the audience knows about this. You might know about it too. I saw the viral Dubai chocolate bar trend before it happened. And what do I think as an Amazon seller or as an e-commerce seller? I went as second I saw this Dubai chocolate bar video, the first one of the first ones that came out in TikTok. Um, I looked on Amazon and I was like, okay, let's holy crap, what am I encountering here? This is the most empty viral niche, and there's so many products associated with it. There's Katafi, there's pistachio cream, there's the phyllo dough, there's the chocolate. All of these products, it's kind of like it's a gold rush, and you could like literally, if you're the guy selling even just the picks, you're making millions, right? The shovels, the axes, anything associated with this is viral on like literally these products were 2-star on Amazon. Like anything associated, these guys were Chinese sellers were throwing these products up. One review, 2-star review, selling 1,000 units a day.
It's crazy. It's
I'm
crazy.
like, what's going on here? So what do? I jump on the phone with every manufacturer I know, right? And trying to get any one of the raw materials. Like I'll sell one of the raw materials. I'll sell anything. There's like 10 products as a result that became trending viral products as a result of this huge viral TikTok trend. So of course, I'm trying to figure out how to actually make the chocolate bars. I'm trying to figure out how to source the whatever. And everything is going so fast. The trend is going so fast, and I couldn't get to market fast enough. So of course, the one of the primary companies that went to market, it took them 6 months to go to market. 6 months. They did. They became literally a $30 million company, right? And I saw that before it was happening. The only problem I had is I didn't have the funding or the capital to invest because a lot of the MOQs for food-based companies are 100,000 units. And I would have totally bought 100,000 units. I just didn't have the capital to do that. So then that was my only barrier to that particular niche. But I find stuff like that every day. Every day I find stuff just like that. Maybe not quite as viral as Dubai, but half as viral. And there's nobody selling on Amazon. There's nobody selling on Shopify. There's nobody, like it's just an empty market. And then, so then I'll get people that I consult with. They're telling me, oh, it's so sad. The market's so saturated. There's no more products to launch. I'm like, I have to just smile. I'm like, oh my God. How often? I'm like, oh, I ask you a question. How many hours a day do you spend on TikTok? I haven't even logged into TikTok. I don't have the app. I'm like, well, you can't get it now, but okay, I see what's going wrong here.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of the strategy or tactic, and I'll tell you 3 things about that if we have more time for this particular topic.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I think we'll come back to that. I think one of the things
Sure.
that you've hit on though here, Mike, is I think the game on Amazon has fundamentally changed or we're in the middle of the change right now, right? The old days of finding products just based off of keywords and opportunities that aren't saturated, like that's few and far between. Like you're finding a needle in a haystack at this point to find something that hasn't been tapped on Amazon. And my prediction is over the next 5 to 10 years, there's only going to be more aggressive competition from overseas competitors. Amazon's only going to continue to increase FBA fees. So what's going to happen? Just immense margin compression if you're just selling the ordinary products that you're just relying on Amazon's traffic to actually move those products, right? You're basically focused on demand capture. Whatever Amazon's bringing, you're trying to scoop it up. However, the shift that I think is happening is what you just talked about. Can you find products where you are the one generating the demand? And yes, people will go buy it on Amazon, but the demand is not generated by looking at the keyword search volume on Amazon. It's, hey, here's the current keyword search volume. But once this thing hits and goes viral, we're looking at 10x the search volume, right? And it will go over to Amazon. So Amazon, I don't think we run away from Amazon, but the way that you target products and the way you launch products, I think fundamentally needs to change. Otherwise, you're going to get your butt kicked by all the overseas sellers that do exactly what you just talked about. Their only MO is like, how do I go duplicate other successful products just on Amazon? That's what I think you're doing there. You're focused on the demand generation, not demand capture. So, Mike, I want to go into that. And it's like, so how do you validate these products, knowing that you're not really relying on keyword search volume Are there software tools that you're using for TikTok, or are you just looking at how many videos have gone viral? Tell me more about how you decide, like, hey, I'm willing to make a bet 100,000 units.
Right. Yeah. So the proof is the way I would go down the road to verify the concept as a good investment opportunity is um, one, how many videos are associated with that particular trend, or how many videos were stitched, how many hashtags were used. So, and even if so, if there's only one, like let's say one video had 10 million views or 5 million views, and you're like, more is coming. More because you're like in the Dubai chocolate bar. I knew there was one video that's 5 million views. I knew more videos were definitely going to hit more. People are going to try to get their viral videos out based on that trend. So there was more than one. I mean, there's one main one, and there's like 10 sub videos already. And I was like, now there's like a million Dubai chocolate bar videos, right? So, but my confirmation of the first video was that what every single video the algorithm was favoring, right? So people were highly engaged with this chocolate bar as like one of the or the other product that I launched was a type of stretch mark oil, by the way, that went viral, um, based on bio oil, by the way. Now, if you've ever heard of
Interesting.
that product, but so anyway, so then that was the first criteria. I'm like, okay, so I can see this picking up. The second action I would take is to go physically look at Amazon. Yes, I'd use Data Rova. I'd use Helium 10. I'm going to go look at the trending keywords associated with it. What are people looking for? How are they looking for it? Is it branded? Is it non-branded? I don't really care if it's branded search most of the time. If it's branded search, then I'm like, great, just make a dupe. And it's so easy to rank for branded search keywords. I can advertise their branded words. And as long as they look like I'm a replacement product for that, then great. It's kind of like, uh, well, uh, anyway, I'll go into the next stage. But then um, the next, I guess, so that's the next part of the market verification. Branded search, you look at all the search volume associated with it. Now, in this case, people are, everybody will type in a different thing in the search bar. So you can also go to Google Analytics and see what's happening there too, or any keyword planner, right, and see the trends on keyword planner. And we cross that data between Helium 10, Data Rova, Keyword Planner, and you see what's happening, and you see the flux, right? And so you're about to invest into a stock before it becomes GameStop, or AMC. So you
Yeah.
see this about to happen. Now you have to just go really fast. So and that's the trick: is how fast can you go to market, right? How many connections do you have to manufacturers? Most people, it's not that hard to find a manufacturer. Honestly, there's tons, but then the next part of my, I guess, process would be design. Now, and this is what I touched upon. You can't just throw something out there because you want to make sure that you're dumping the money into a good design, but it's not necessarily that's not the expensive part, right? If you're going to launch something based on existing viral trend and you're going to be hitting on millions of people, you damn well better have a good design that communicates to them, right? So they're looking for something. You got to be the guy communicating. And in the end, that's all artwork or design is. It's a piece of communication, right? It's just in colors and pictures and fonts and text. That's what it is. It's a composition of those things. So, and you cannot go by guesswork on that. Do not go on the top of your head. You can copy somebody and try to, like an existing product, let's say, like for the Dubai chocolate bar, there was no existing product to copy, right? So what you need to do so that's why I made this program impression check, because for my own use. So it's a software, an AI software that I can go pre-market and before I design anything. And then I can pull based on what the market buttons are, what they think of, right? So I'm trying to so if I go, hey, if I am going to mention Dubai and chocolate, what comes to mind, right? Like, what picture do you get? What image? And it might be this, that, and then you tally up those results. And the way I do is with AI. And then I want to get a consistency of, everyone's thinking of bright, colorful murals. I'm like, this is not an example. I didn't do this. I'm just using a random example of what could come up, right? So that, hey, everyone associates Dubai and chocolate with bright purple and green murals. I'm going to make a purple and green or red and green mural brand, and it's going to have all these bright colors on it and be all fun and cutesy, right? And then I'm going to take that design, I'll have designer work on that, because the AI will spit out, here's how to design it, right? Here's what we need. Here's the criteria for the design. And then I give it to the designer, and the designer literally goes, and they go, and then we survey it to confirm that it matches. And they go, so the idea of that next part of the survey is they say, oh, that's that's the Dubai chocolate bar. Without any text, by the way. I don't want to say Dubai chocolate bar, right? I just want to see that that communicates the button, right? Maybe the button is luxury chocolate, right? And that's the button. So I have to confirm the button, right? So the design confirms that. Then now I'm ready to go to market. I've confirmed everything, and I can capture that trend perfectly in that sequence and then ride that wave for years to come, right? Remember that also Amazon's an algorithm, an engine. So I'll keep sales going forever. Like it'll just keep going. It just forms a new business, right?
Yeah.
That's my process for doing this.
I love that. So you talked about your tool that you created, Impression Checker, and I'm sure that the question on people's minds is like, okay, what's the difference between PickFu, IntelliV, Product Pinion? Like, it seems like these testing survey tools are like the latest thing that everybody's getting into, right? So
Yeah.
Why did you create your own? That ain't cheap. But what's the difference?
I created my own because I needed. There's several reasons why, right? So there's um, and at the time I started creating it, it's funny that they like IntelliV launched a flash image survey because mine is based on flash image. I have a milliseconds or seconds to get the result. I can't have someone stare at an image for 5 minutes and then pick it apart because that's not how the market works, right? The market has seconds. So I was like, oh great, well they just launched their flash image survey based on half a second or 3 seconds, but that was one of the principles of it, right? But that's not it. It's not letting a seller or a person decide or choose their survey questions because I've done that. And that's where you waste so much money on surveys. And I mean, there's a whole history on survey and how you're supposed to do it. And there's Madison Avenue write-ups on it and a million things, right? And I've read a lot of books trying to pick apart what's true, what's false, how to do it right. Focus groups, how those work. Like, how do you perfect a design? So, and over with viewing all the different materials on surveys and like what the most successful campaigns and surveys that were ever done in history and to bring about the most perfect product that the customer wanted that literally they couldn't even keep in stock, you know? So, and I was building it based on those principles, which those principles started back in like 1930s, like how they were figuring out how to do this. So I built a software that emulated that. And it wasn't based on the top of my head. It wasn't based on this is what I think will work. It's based on what has worked historically in surveys. The thing I know about IntelliV and PickFu, they're letting people decide how to do the surveys. They have some templates and stuff like that, but in the end, it's the questions aren't correct. The questions are never going to bring about the right answer. Now, the second part of it is, and I've talked to a million sellers about this, and I myself have the problem. When I get the tally of the survey results, the right way to do a survey is to add up those survey results at the end, individually understand what each person said, because they might say the same thing in 16 different ways. So imagine training an AI to interpret that, right? It was a process. So, and then it automatically tallies all those things together at the end to give you, here's really what people thought of your product, right? Or thought of your questions. So, and the questions are also modeled. It's a model question. So that you have basically pre-designed survey. So before you design, they don't do that. Like the problem is you start using their surveys after you assumed your design was correct for the market. And then they're going to tell you but they don't tell you yes, it's bad, yes, or good. They just tell you, here's all the feedback, right? And you're like, okay, thanks. But so first, so it violates the very basic principle of surveys, right? First principle is before you go to market, do a pre-market survey. What do people need to see on this design? Then you design it, and then you survey it a second time to find out if the design matched that. This is going to be the only software in the world, especially with AI integrated, that actually does that correctly. So imagine if instead of you trying to tell a designer for 16 hours how you want it to look, I'm sure you've done that a million times. Sure, everybody's done that a million times. This is going to remove all of that headache, and this is going to be a painful point for a lot of sellers. Stop injecting your own opinion. You might not be the demographic, right? And even so, you're one person. The people are going to talk and tell you what they want. Listen to them and design it based on what they want, right? And if you do that, your product will sell. And it's proven time and time again. Those are the best products in history that sell the most, right? They subliminally communicate to the customer. They identify with them, and it creates an impulse buy. And if you can accomplish that, the only way you really can accomplish that is by a pre-market survey and then confirmation post-market survey. And that's why I built that, because I can do that with that software. There's no other software in the world that has that.
Brilliant. I think that is so key. I mean, here's what I think is different about your entire approach, though, to putting up new products on Amazon. You're so focused on what is it that the market wants, right? Because if something's going viral on TikTok, like obviously like people are interested in that. But then you take it to another step that it's like, all right, when you hear about Dubai chocolate or whatever it is, what is it that you envision, right? Like what pictures, what imagery comes to your mind? And so then you just start designing and creating that product according to what people are envisioning in their mind, so that when you bring it to life, they're like, oh, this is exactly what I was imagining, right? And you're going to have better conversion rate, click-through rate, all of the above.
Everything is so much better when you do that.
And easier, right? And you're doing the upfront work. I think here's a big mindset shift that I think sellers need to have. A lot of people want to skip the product research process and be like, yeah, just look at the keywords. Okay, we'll go imitate this person. We'll go launch it. And then guess where they spend the majority of their time? PPC hacks. What am I doing with main image hacks? What am I doing with secondary images? Like, it's all about the secondary efforts. And it's like, guys, you've got it all backwards. If you would have front loaded all of that work that you're now doing, you don't even need the PPC hacks, because this thing's just moving on its own, right? Like, but you've got to invest the time up front to create a really good product. And I think like the best company that does this is going to be Apple, right? Apple spends an
Apple does a lot of surveys, by the way. A lot of surveys.
Yes, but they won't come out with a product until it's done correct, right? And I think that's where I think most e-commerce entrepreneurs, myself included, like we're so quick to be like, oh, get this out there. But it's if you will take the time to step back and make sure that you've dotted your I's, crossed your T's, it's resonating with people, it's going to make your job 10 times easier on Amazon, bringing new ideas to the market. So, Mike, is there anything else that you would add to your kind of like your product research and development process that, you know, goes against the grain of what everybody's been taught and learned over the last decade on Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, another thing that it's funny that you asked that exact question, because there's one more point. I talked to a seller a few months back, and he was like, big seller. He had this product, and he got so caught up in the Amazon game and so caught up in just I love the idea of launching products, right? So he just was like, I'm going to launch some products. But he didn't specify anything about it. So he ended up he's selling gaming products, like board game products. He invented board games. Very clever guy. And he was like, Michael, can I jump on a call with you? I want help debugging. I know you're one of the smarter sellers. I want help debugging my product. I launched it 6 months ago. It fell on its face. It flopped. So, and I was like, it's Amazon only product? He's like, it's Amazon only product. Okay, so I took a look at it. And then I looked out over the product and I was like, okay, it looks cute. I'm going to check something real quick. So the first thing I did was I went on to Data Rover and Helium 10. And I just did a basic survey of the market, like how many keywords are associated with what he's saying on the product? Like how many people are looking for something similar? Nobody, right? So it was zero. Like he launched a product and named it something based on no existing trend, no existing keyword search. And this was a very big seller. And it was just a complete like, and when I was like, by the way, did you know that you didn't put any like main pain points or keywords in your actual product name? Like, why did you name it that? Because you thought it was cool? And he was like, because I thought it was cool. And I was like, cool, but you have to identify something with people. They want to look, that's how they know what you are. And he's like, "Oh my God, I totally forgot about all that." He realized it, right? The core like reason of selling products on Amazon. So now, and this is one thing, and this is why I say do a pre-designed survey, because those buttons you're going to find consistently also associate with keyword searches. There's some kind of SEO following that. And you'll see it. Like maybe it's not the exact word or the exact pull point, right? Because people communicate things in so many different ways. Like I can say the same idea to you in 5 different ways, right? But people, you can see that on Amazon searches, like each product will have 30 ways of saying it, right? It's common, but you have to know that and then pick your niche a little bit. So I think it's a common problem a lot of people start to get oversight on, and it comes with the pre-designed survey. But another thing way that I will make sure I model my design, model my product. They're going to see the image first before they read your title, right? So that's more important. Just have some basic, if you're going to tell whatever text you're going to have on there, make sure it's something that is currently trending. And again, it comes back to the same basic principle. Find out what the people want and put it on your product. Don't go by what you think. Stop being so opinionated. That's my biggest piece of advice to a lot of sellers is stop going in your head about it. Look at the market, right?
Yeah. Very, very simple statement, but a lot of people overlook it. They get so caught up in the weeds. So, Mike, I think that's a great summation of that. Mike, let's now transition to something else where, you have a lot of e-commerce brand owners that will reach out to you for consulting or help or coaching, whatever that might be. What do you see are some of the common patterns and pain points that people are coming to you for, and why?
Yeah. So, I think on a high level, let's start from a 10,000 foot view down of people that I consult with, I manage their people's brands. Is so a lot of people come to me with just an Amazon company. I think this is what's happened in the market is they learned about Amazon at whatever point, and you know what? Hey, they got $10,000 or $30,000 a month, or they know their friend is doing $1,000,000 a month, right? So they try to go in the Amazon sandbox. That's what we're calling, right? It's a sandbox that is Amazon, and they stay in the sandbox. Right. And so they're my number one, and whatever products they do have, you already launched your products. Now, you didn't do pre-designed servers. You didn't do any of that shit. You have just launched your products, right? So you're stuck with them. You're married to them. You have 2,000 units or 5,000 units in inventory. Sure, you can pivot your design and do a packaging may vary graphic on your second image, right? Packaging may vary, new design. And they get the old package and they'll be okay with that, right? The customer. So yes, you should probably redesign your packaging if your sales suck. But also just within an Amazon sandbox, you're limited. Like it's so limited. And the number one thing I'll be like, you're coming to me for help and you want to be a big company, right? They're like, a lot of people are very ambitious and I love it when they're ambitious. But if someone wants to be a big company, you have to do what big companies do to have what they have, right? So big companies do a lot of advertising. They do a lot of top of funnel. They do billboards, they do commercials, they do TV ads, they do Facebook, they do or Meta, they do TikTok, they do everything, right? They're very top of funnel, and then all of it comes together into synchronized messaging, and of course, and they're also maybe eventually they go in stores, but they get so much traffic from so many places. So one thing I say is stop thinking that the Amazon sandbox is a magic button that you can press that'll make you $1,000,000. It doesn't really work like that anymore, right? And maybe, some people, when Amazon was empty back 10, 12, 13, 14 years ago, sure, Amazon was empty. You could have definitely made $1,000,000. a month, but you know what? You'd be dead today. If you continued in that sandbox, you'd be dead today. You have no outside marketing, you're overtaken by competition because everybody else is doing all your competitors. If I were to reverse engineer them, they're all doing outside marketing. You're the only one not doing it, right? And if you are doing it, hats off to you, you're doing the right thing, right? So the other aspect of things is when if I come on like the top of uh, the 10,000 foot view, I guess you could say, what I encounter is getting so caught up in. I think you brought this point up earlier. Getting so caught up in the hacks, PPC, the little Amazon tricks, and and SNS and da da da. In the end, it just means that you're not confident enough in your brand and that you have to rely so much in Amazon. And it's been a hard thing to put down. Like if you really have the best product ever and you are confident in your marketing, go and drop 100 grand, go get a line of credit and drop 100 grand on marketing if your product's really that good, right? But the truth is your confidence is not confirmed, right? You haven't done surveys to go, yes, this is exactly what people want. So one, that's lessening your confidence a little bit in your product. And two, you gotta at least try before you give up and fail, right? So like a lot of people will put, and I've seen this a million times, like you just go and put on a new product launch or an existing product, you dump $200 a day for 30 days on PPC, and you're like, I spent all this money on ads, it didn't scale, right? Fine, it didn't scale. Why didn't it scale? Let's look at the breakdown. Was the click-through rate? Was the conversion rate? What's going wrong with this product? And you know what? The product doesn't scale and you spend money on PPC. It just goes back to nobody wants it, right? Now everybody wants this guy over here, but why do they want that guy over there? He's selling 10,000 units a month. You're selling 1 unit a day, right? Or 30 units a month, right? So doesn't that tell you something? Like, doesn't that tell you, hey, maybe you should look at what the people want, right? Before going and try to do a bunch of PPC hacks. And I think you hit on this point. And those are the two things that I usually go over. It's just, and of course, like if your click-through rate sucks, it means your main image sucks. So redesign it, dude. And if your conversion rate sucks, means your graphics were probably done on Fiverr or not really well thought out, right? Or surveyed, or you're not hitting the right buttons. So redesign it. Now, if you have a dead ASIN, like your product's been sitting there selling 1 unit a day or 0 units a day for a year, fine. Fix all these points first, then relaunch it. Because now you can relaunch it with some confidence and invest in the PPC, right? So, but my perspective on things is now the only exception to all of this is if you're going to try to launch a very generic, like go to launch electrolytes. Like everybody has electrolytes, by the way. Everybody has face cream. Everybody has, you know, sheets or bedding, whatever, like generic products. If you're going to do that, go in with a line of credit with $100,000 and tons of marketing because you ain't going to make it if you don't do that, right? You're going to have to compete against the big boys. And the big boys, they spend, right? So those are my things that I say in my advice usually.
I love that. I think that is so important. Like you've just got to up your game. And I think people get so complacent overall. Mike, excellent words of wisdom. What else would you say to our audience of 7-figure sellers? Where is the puck moving as it relates to e-commerce, social selling in Amazon? And what are you focused on in your next 5 to 10 years in e-commerce?
That's a very good question. So I'd say there's been so many shifts so quick in e-commerce based on just consumer trust. It's getting, there's been so many marketing tactics implemented over the last 20 years and since the advent of really the internet blowing up, right? And so all these new things, very creative, very amazing and brilliant ideas. And then of course if someone has a brilliant idea, 10 more people will take its place, or replicate that idea, right? So where it's going right now is that established trust factor with and TikTok hit on this. This is why TikTok Shop took off so quickly, is because it is hitting on the people's voice of what product is good or not. So, and this is what Amazon's trying to hit on is how can you give the people a voice on saying what they like and don't like, right? And whether TikTok stays or goes away and whatever, in the end, what's working right now, and even why TikTok Shop started getting a little bit exhausted, but it still works really amazing. But the people have a voice. They tell you what they like. They tell you the hacks. They tell you the tips. They tell you the tricks. And even what's so inspiring for me as just a person in everyday living, like I can live better because all these people are telling me hacks for life or products to use, right? And I think that's the thing that's blowing up. So it's really where social media and e-commerce are connecting and coming together, and TikTok nailed it with TikTok Shop and affiliates, right? Selling products. But in the end, it's going to be the and the back in the old day where marketing came from is testimonial videos and UGC and people going, "Hey, I used this and I liked it," and probably they're paid actors or whatever, but still people were inspired by that. They bought their drug or they bought their beauty product or health product. So, and where it's going is if TikTok doesn't make it, someone's going to come in and take its place, right? And if Amazon figures out a way to actually get the people having a voice on every product more than just reviews, because the written review is kind of getting obsolete. So I think where Amazon's trying to take it, where e-commerce is trying to take it, and if any really clever person on Shopify will do this, and you've seen some companies kind of pivoting in this direction, replicate that business model on your PDP, on your page, on your product detail page. So your product needs to show the people in their response to using it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whatever, but as long as hopefully it's mostly good. And let's say you go down, let's say you're on the Amazon app and you scroll down and the reviews are now just videos, like TikTok.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Amazon's trying to take it. I think that same with a lot of, if you can replicate that in your Shopify store, nailed it. Like that is beautiful, right? That's what people want to see.
Well, and that's exactly what we've been doing with our own brand. Those videos that we have permission to use from creators, we're putting them all over the PDP on our Shopify storefront. It's like, you don't need to trust the fake reviews that are on Shopify anyways, because you can manipulate those all you want, right? It's all about like, no, these are real people. These are what they're saying about the products without us even having to tell them what to say. And so I agree wholeheartedly with you. And it all starts with a good product, right? If you have a crappy product, you're not going to have people saying anything about your product to begin with. And so this goes back to start with a really good product, understand what the market needs, jump on the trends, and then blow it up through social commerce. I think that truly over the next 5 years, like that's the new Amazon, quote unquote, right? Whether it's TikTok Shop or something else, but it's social commerce. And it's going to be selling through other people. The users of your products are going to be the ones that are actually selling your product. And so I'm really excited about that.
That's right. And that's exactly, you hit on the nail on the head on having that. Like when I scaled I had to scale the Shopify account from literally, I think 13,000 a month to it's like 230,000 a month in 4 months. You know how many UGC videos I had over those pages? I think each product, I worked so hard to get this on the page and build it, custom coded in there to be like a social media platform. But it was just all like there were so many testimonials in every product, and that's I hit on something, right? And there's just like you can't ignore all of this feedback. People are, and that's what TikTok did. TikTok nailed it. Amazon's trying to figure it out right now. Hopefully they do soon.
Yep. Only time will tell. Only time will tell.
That's right.
Mike, as we start to wrap things up, I love to leave our audience with 3 actionable takeaways from every episode. Here are the 3 actionable takeaways that I noted. You let me know if I'm missing something. Action item number 1 is leaning into social media, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and understanding what is it that people are talking about, okay? Jumping on trends as soon as you possibly can and shifting your mindset from, hey, let's go find something that's doing well on Amazon. How can I go duplicate that? Instead, go duplicate something that's going viral. And then ideally, if you can find something, take some of those keywords, the hashtags, put them over into the search terms on Amazon. And if it's a blue ocean, right? Where it's like maybe there's one competitor, as you mentioned, that has a 2-star review, one review, and it's 2 stars, but yet they're still crushing it. That's blue ocean for you to go in, disrupt with an actually really good product. So that's key. I think action item number 1 is completely shift your mindset and approach to identifying new products to launch, and lean more into what's doing well in social commerce, because it's also going to make your life a lot easier over the next 5 to 10 years when the puck starts moving that way. Action item number 2 is don't just come up with a dupe product of something that is going viral. Instead, spend the extra time and effort that you theoretically would have spent trying to work on PPC and main image optimization and all of that stuff. Instead, spend most of that time through actually speaking with the end customers, conducting surveys. And Michael shared his tool, impressions, impression check.
Impressioncheck.com.
Impressioncheck.com. His tool that will methodically walk you through the process of like, hey, ask people this. What is it that comes to their mind? Then send that to a graphic designer. Have them come up with it. Get feedback. And just continue to tailor that until like it's resonating really well with those survey responses. Then you're ready for prime time. And when you do that and have a better product, the PPC hacks, the main image hacks, the SEO hacks, they become less relevant because you've got a massive amount of traffic coming from these social platforms, plus a really solid product that you can sell anywhere, whether that's Shopify or Amazon. And you marry those two together, like you're off to the races.
That's right.
Then my third and final action item here is stop getting caught up in the nonsense. I think the old way of Amazon, right? And which is, I would say, like, there was no focus on the customer to begin with. It was all very keyword focused, and everybody's been selling to keywords. And so my third action item for you is to shift that mindset completely, which means, how do you build an email list? How do you build a connection with your audience so that you can actually like survey your audience? Call somebody, heaven forbid you call somebody on the phone, one of your customers, and talk to them about their experience with your product. And when you can do that and start leveraging your audience and creating videos, like that is where the brands that are going to succeed over the next 5 years, they're going to become really, really good at communicating with an audience. And they're not just hawking a product on Amazon just to make a quick buck. Mike, anything else you would add that I missed here?
But I think you definitely hit on the right thing with building an audience. I think that was the only thing I would elaborate on is that's another huge point that Amazon sellers spent a lot of time not doing and doing PPC hacks. But in the end, you could have hacked your way to the top and you would drop back down. If you built an audience, though, that audience protects you for time immemorial. Keep building that audience. That audience is literally your lifeblood, your guardian, your safety net. They are your everything. And engage with them, talk to them. They're your people. They're your loyalists, right? But that's a huge one that a lot of people still, a lot of sandbox Amazon sellers still have yet to figure out how to do.
So, quick question for you on that note. Is there anything unique that you're doing to collect email list of customers that are buying from Amazon?
I've tried a million things. I mean, I think I do the normal stuff. I mean, I do games and I do, I've done inserts, little spin the wheel type deal, type games, depending on the brand, what's appropriate. And honestly, the thing I've had most success with recently is building audiences on Discord. So I have a lot of creators that I work with, particularly that are very powerful for brands. So instead of I build audience for brands, I build a pretty big audience. But what I'm finding is more valuable right now is like a creator audience, like a lot of your own. So I'm trying to and I have thousands upon thousands of creators that have my email address, I have their email address, we have phone numbers, and they're influencers. Some of them have huge audiences and huge followings, and building a relationship with that type of valuable audience too I think is a level up from, yes, you have your customers, your loyalists, definitely keep engaged with them. If you can build an army of influencers, creators, affiliates, an army, that the power of that too is huge. I mean, the amount of sales that come in from
Oh,
those
yeah.
people are crazy.
How are you finding those affiliates then and getting them into your Discord group?
I think over years of talking to a lot of affiliates with TikTok and using join brands for years and whatever else, developing relationships, I actually also bought creator lists from, and so like I would buy a list of 5,000 people and then begin cultivating relationships with as many people that answered me. It's just like some of the lists I bought, 2,500 of the creators would answer me because they're like, hey, I have products for you. Because I also keep in mind, I have client products I can feature, I have my own. So I have a lot of stuff I can give them. And I'm like, what's your GMV? And I look at their profile, I can see. So then I segment them. I'm like, you're a high GMV, a million plus creator, you're blah on TikTok. Some of them are influencer, Instagram. So I segment them in different lists. So I have all these different Discord groups. Like these are high tier, low tier, medium tier. These are UGC only, whatever. And these are health, beauty, fitness, whatever, or home decor creators. So I segment them. But and a lot of the times I get lucky sometimes by talking to different people that already have lists. I'm like, can we co-collab with your list? Other agencies sometimes I'm like, they don't have enough products to give their list. So otherwise, sometimes I'm like, hey, so you have all these people. I want to give them products too. Can I help collab with them to keep them happier? And they're like, of course you can. Be surprised how many people are like ready to give up their list to make the list happier.
Interesting.
So that's how I've gotten. That probably is how I got most of my list, to be honest, from talking that way to other people that have lists and sharing them.
That's fantastic. Another, might I say, hack that you shared with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike, love it. All right, Mike, as we wrap things up here, my final 3 questions for you. What's been the most influential book that you've read and why?
I'd say the most influential book is probably that I always reference almost every day is an older book written in the 60s called Big League Sales that it's hard to get a copy of. I think they sell it on eBay. I think at one point it was outlawed. Like it was like it's a wild book, right? But it's I think they sell them for like $4. It's a rare book by them. But it nails sales like on the head perfectly. It is, and I use quotes from it every day. I use it with my staff, and like I'll even use it on product listings. Like you can't do certain things before the prospect is ready. So like you have to press. Like there's one quote in there which is never press the go button before the prospect is ready, or it'll be the blow button. Right.
Mm,
So great quote. And I'm like, so if you try to sell the product too early, they'll bounce out of the listing. That's how I equate it to that, right? Very applicable for e-commerce, very applicable for everyday sales.
I love that. Yes, I just looked that up on Amazon. You're looking at $250 right now.
There
So
you go.
love it. Obviously, it's worth its weight in gold. All right.
Oh yeah, I've used it a lot.
Question number 2. What's your favorite AI tool or ChatGPT prompt that you've been using?
Okay, so I mean, obviously, I love using my own software that I spent a lot of time building, which is Impression Check. Second is Gamma. So Gamma is an AI software that basically I actually just found about it recently, but I became obsessed with it. It can build full presentations and PDFs using AI with artificial or AI graphics imposed and reading what you prompt is, the text, and equating a graphic to it. It's basically like ChatGPT if ChatGPT turned into a PowerPoint, right? So I
It's
make
amazing.
presentations for my staff, for staff meetings, if I'm recording with the client or if I whatever, it can take all my prompts and beautifully lay something out to make it just snazzy using colors and brands, and it's just so useful for you can present things to investors with that, like have a whole PowerPoint presentation if you wanted a capital investment, and here's your PowerPoint with all your projections and forecasts that you literally made in 10 minutes.
That is so cool. That's another one I'm going to be playing around with. Very
Yeah.
fun. All right. Third and final question. Who is somebody you admire or respect the most in the e-commerce space that other people should be following and why?
For that one, I'm going to say it's a tie between. I followed a lot of what I think Matt Clark is brilliant, and he has done a lot of. He's built a huge empire on. He's very much like a common sense guy. Like this is, of course, you do it this way, and the second you hear from him, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I ever thought about that. Of course, you do it that way. So a lot of his training I've done. Also, same with Ezra Firestone. Those people I follow, even though they're like huge influential, they have a lot of whatever. I've been to a lot of their conferences, and both of them, they have so much brilliant genius, common sense that you wondered why you never thought. And I just follow them for that reason. It's a lot of their strategies I've learned. I've bought their courses and I've implemented in my businesses. And you know what? They worked. They were based on common sense.
Yep. Yep. Those are two great names to follow. I would echo those same sentiments. Well, Mike, this has been fantastic. If people want to learn more about you, they want to follow you, they want to check out your tool, where is the best place people can follow you and reach out to you at?
Several places. I mean, I think the easiest place to find me is going to be AmazonArchetype.com. Like you'll see my name, it's a little bio about me and all that stuff. I even have a way to contact me directly on there. BullseyeSellers.com. I'm a partner in that company. And also ImpressionCheck.com, where I'll literally see it's in beta. If you want to join the beta, I'll just go there, enter your email address, and I'll see you. And I can even literally send you a personal message. Just say you came from this podcast.
Fantastic. I think you are also going to offer people, some freebies or discounts as well. Is there anything you want people to mention?
Oh yeah.
From that?
If you want to work with me at Bullseye, help you manage your brand, that's one thing I do. We can have a one-on-one consult, go over your problems, and we give you 20% off your first month of service and brand management. Impression check is you get 20% off your first campaigns. To use that and just basically name drop Michael, and the code is going to be Michael, right? Code Michael. I'm the only Michael there, luckily. There's usually 10 Michaels, but in this case, I'm the only one.
Easy enough. Well, Michael, thanks again for joining us on this episode. Lots of wisdom you shared, so thanks for your time today.
Of course, it was great to be here.
Thank you for listening. Visit ecombreakthrough.com for more information. If you've enjoyed today's episode, the best way you can show your appreciation is by clicking the subscribe button and quickly leaving a review. See you again next time.